Hello and welcome to the Merlin Lock podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful helping of pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge. Alright, so to start us off, I've been very hesitant to bring this up.
And I'm very anxious to hear what it is.
No, I feel like this conversation could go south really quick, without meaning for it to, because we
passionate people.
When you get into a discussion about this kind of thing, it can be a little touchy for some folk. But is there reason to be? Perhaps. But in all reality, we need to have these conversations just to get everything out in the open so we have an understanding of one another. Okay, so this question is, it's something that's been very prevalent in, I've seen a lot of podcasts, highlights and what have you. And the topic is on being a real, quote unquote, a real man. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is something that I've never. Okay, in my youth, this would be something that was very important to me. Subconsciously, it wasn't something that I came to myself, something that I decided I wanted from myself, but it was something that felt pressured from by society or by friends, by acquaintances, and it's not like over the years as I've grown older and gained at least a little bit of wisdom, it's something that makes less and less sense. Yeah? So it feels like there's societal expectations of a man. And now this is something that also applies to, or it did also apply to women.
Right.
In a woman's role in the home. And I've had a lot of over the years I've gained a lot of respect for women in the fact that they are breaking free from the mold. They're finally putting their foot down and saying, no more. I will not let society dictate how I live my life, what role I play in the household. But it also applies to men. Yeah? If you think about it, it also applies to men, and it's something that we I feel like perhaps we are forgiven more easily for not meeting these expectations, but they're still there. It's an underlying expectation of men still. And it's something that will be that we're oftentimes patronized over. So if a quote unquote real man meets you, gets to know what you're about, and you don't fall in line with those traits, you're looked down upon almost instantly, right? Without even without getting to know everything you're about, already their idea of you is poorly. So it seems to be dying out, admittedly, with older generations. But when you spend time with older folk, which we often do,
Right.
Like spending time with family or friends and their families. you have these conversation with these older guys, and they instantly have an opinion of you based on what you're doing with your life. Yeah.
Right.
Now, what is it that forces these men to think so highly of themselves that they can look down on you and what you're doing with your time?
I don't necessarily think that it's just the older generation of men, but there are also highly opinionated older generation of women who also look down upon you when they know what it is you do or what you plan to do. They also see it that their generation of men grew up a specific way, and you, as the upcoming generation, should do the same things that they did.
Right. Yeah.
I've met both men and women who just act the same way. I just see it as their generation grew up that way, and that's what they're used to, and they'll judge you on it.
Yeah, they're not they're not at all reserved about it.
Oh, absolutely not.
They'll make themselves heard. You will feel
Hey,
so awkward after a conversation with one of these people.
you know what I believe it is? I believe it's the fact that they are older and that filter has completely just went to the wayside.
That could
What's
be it.
right and
Yeah.
wrong to say, they just don't care. They will blatantly say how they feel and don't care how you feel about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. But that just puts into perspective that these older folk, they lack a filter, so they speak their mind, yeah?
Right.
But how many other people does this affect in the younger generations as well? They just don't say anything because they have sense.
Right. Until they get old enough to lose that filter as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. Oh man, no, I find it so easy. Even at our age, where we look at these younger generations, and at the same time we're like, "Wow, you're an idiot," right?
Mhm.
There's admittedly there is times where you're like, "Wow, okay, come on, guys." But the way I look at it, right? Like I see this nonsense that people get into, and yeah, I kind of look at it like, "Oh, that just seems silly." Yeah. But I will be the last person to judge someone on their lifestyle choices.
Mhm.
And I wish that was more prevalent. Like the kind of people who don't judge you, but they appreciate you for your individuality. Yeah.
Mhm.
I did see like a few posts on social media here and there about being busy. Like it always seems to be a competition of how busy you are, how much work you're doing, how much you're how much you're putting in.
Right.
And it's people seem to be judged on their level of misery. Yeah, so the more
Yep.
miserable you are, the more highly you're regarded.
Right.
That just seems like such a silly thing, but it's almost unavoidable. What I love is oftentimes where you'll see, all right, you'll be hanging out with the guys, and there's this quote unquote cool factor, I suppose, where the guy that's considered to be cool is the guy who is completely composed, at all times. He doesn't like to, he's not outspoken. He keeps kind of quiet, puts his head down. He works constantly. And that kind of personality is so highly regarded. And when I see that guy, that's the kind of guy I don't want to talk to because they're completely and utterly uninteresting.
Right.
Right? They have nothing to contribute, but they're looked upon as a desirable, personality. And it's something that I don't understand because I myself, when I work, I'm not willing to do it on the behalf of someone I don't even know. I put forward work, the most work, for people that I love or appreciate, friends, family. I will put out as much work as is and more than what is required for those people.
Right.
But I refuse to work for somebody that I don't know for their benefit just so they can profit and then pay me a pittance of their earnings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm often patronized about. Well, with these older generation people, because they'll see me and they'll say, "Oh, he's lazy. He has no work ethic." But then if it's a person that's a part of my family or friends, and they ask me for help, and I put in all that work for them to help them with whatever that problem is, they still look at me like, yeah, who's very helpful, but he's still a lazy piece of shit because he's not a career man working 50, 60 hours a week and have like a big savings account or something. Yeah?
Right. In my day, I worked like 60 hours. Non-stop.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It's always the level of misery that dictates like what kind of character you are.
Right.
It's always a competition. Everything's a competition.
Yep.
But what if we don't want to compete?
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How dare you? That's what it all comes down to.
What, you think you're special? Huh?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be having it better than them.
Exactly. You can't break free from the mold because I was in the mold and I suffered, so you must suffer as well.
I embraced it. I mean, although my children don't talk to me anymore.
So, do you have any thoughts on this? Any more thoughts?
See, like, I've worked with plenty of people who are older and they just stay to their job, right? So they're like, I'm staying here because I'm too old to find another job. That's how they look at it. I'm too old to find another job. And they're just miserable where they're at. Absolutely miserable. And they just spread it. And it's just a virus within a working company.
So is it, if we were to go back on that, right, where they get stuck in their ways, yeah?
Right.
And they look at me because I'm trying all these different avenues to lead a life that I want, even though if it's not necessarily fortuitous in any sense. Well, financially, perhaps, but I mean, I've gained a lot of wisdom over the years and satisfaction, but not so much money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, am I the lazy one for not having a lot of finances or financial stability? Or are they the lazy ones because they just put their head down and they just suffer it and they don't make an effort to live out their life how they dreamed.
Right. And like I don't know what it is, whether they just didn't have any inhibitions that they wanted to meet, whether it's go somewhere, or do something more special with their life or what. And they look at where they're sitting at and they're like, I've been here 15 years and it's just gotten worse over time. Okay, but have you done anything to try to change it? Have you tried to move up to change things to be for the better? Like, no, you wanted to stick out the same miserable position.
Yeah, they just yeah, it could be simply a lack of ambition.
Right.
Some people are perfectly happy with just keeping a 9 to 5 job, putting their head down, just go to work, come home, eat, sleep. Right? But that's
Right.
that's not something that's ever appealed to me, which is difficult, simply because you can't just live for free unless you're homeless.
Right.
Yeah. Or you have someone to support you.
Uh-huh.
But in my position where I'm single, I don't have another person to support me, and living isn't cheap. But I've gotten to a point where I can live comfortably enough. Right? I don't really own much of anything. I can't go out and do fun stuff or go out to eat. I mean, there's rare occasions where I'll save up. I'll try to save up pennies to be able to do these things, but most of the time I can't go out. I can't drive around a lot because fuel is expensive, and if my car breaks down, man, I don't know. I'll just be like, I'll go into a bike, I suppose, because I can't afford a new car. But it's something that I've become satisfied with, where I'm able to be completely content. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like people look at you, if you're content with little finances, people look at you like it's strange. Yeah? Like why wouldn't you want more?
Right.
Like more things, more money, more this, more that. And I feel like it's something just completely ingrained in our society. I mean, I don't know about other countries, how they look at it, but it's so heavily pushed in the US, at least, this consumer mindset where we constantly need to consume everything. Like, we need to experience and ingest or buy everything we possibly can.
Right.
And if you don't want it, it seems strange to people.
Right.
I don't know if the US has always been that way. Well, perhaps.
I think ever since things started becoming a little more, let's try to think of it. When did your classic working class hero kind of thing show up? What, maybe 1920s, maybe? Where everybody would just kind of go and do what they need to do and mope around, and people were in office buildings, just, I don't know, everything just seemed to had to have been boring. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So once like your music came out, like everybody's dancing around, having a great old time.
It's always it like, we don't even have that much manufacturing as we did back in those days. It's mostly, seems like all these jobs now are just selling. We're just taking things and selling it. That's all there is to do. seemingly. And if you don't want to buy, then they're like, okay, well, what's wrong with you?
Like, a lot of manufacturing can be done by just robotics alone, right?
I mean, sure, but like most of the time, it's like outsourced to other
Oh,
countries.
absolutely. I mean, because they
Cheap labor.
cheap labor,
Yeah.
but they will run them ragged.
Yeah, and then it's all imported here, and we have all these companies that just sell off all these things. I feel like there's been, ever since social media has become completely ingrained in society, it's always been this constant push for showing off and making other people envious of what you have and what they don't have.
Right.
And then it begins the cycle again where they don't have it, they envy you for having it, and now they need to be able to get it so that they can feel fulfilled. It's something where it's been difficult with my daughter, as she sees these things all the time, where like she loves watching YouTube all the time, which, I mean, most people watch YouTube.
Yeah.
And the things that she enjoys watching is these guys or women who do these outrageous things and show off their money and everything that they have, and the things that they're able to do, like these crazy stunts or activities, or like renting out whole, let's say, trampoline parks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to be able to do all those things. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty neat, admittedly. I mean, sure, I would love to experience that, but do you have to have it?
Right.
Could you not find satisfaction in what you do have and what you can accomplish yourself with how little you have?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, the answer is no. But that's a child's mindset, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as adults, you would think that we would grow out of that.
No.
But it seems to be taking longer and longer for that to happen, for us to grow out of that. Because I look at my parents now, and I'll talk to my mom on the regular on the phone, and I'll be like, "Oh, what fun stuff are you into?" She's like, "Nothing. We just got back from work, and we just plopped on the couch and started watching some good TV shows and having a laugh." And I was like, "That sounds heavenly." I absolutely love that. Just coming home with your loved one, making a cup of coffee or tea or whatever, or a glass of wine or something, and just hanging out and enjoying each other's company and keeping it simple. I love that simplicity.
So you know what I used to hear when I was younger? So we would go out to the beach as a family and whatnot, and once we'd get there, I'd be like, "So what are we doing next?" And I'd be like, "What are we doing next? I can't wait! Like, I'm so excited! Let's do this!" Like, as a kid, you got all this energy and you just want to go do. And my mom at one point would just go, "This is it. This is what we're here for. We're gonna relax." And
we're just gonna chill.
And I would be so mad, and I just had no idea, did not understand that as a concept until I got older. And then I'm like, "Oh, this is nice." You go to the beach, relax, hit some nice hot spots, and then get out on the beach, just kind of relax in the sand, then go out in the water and wade there for a while. It's nice, relaxing.
It is nice, isn't it? Man, and I love seeing these posts on social media where these people are posing at this extravagant place and like sipping on wine and watching the sunset from their outdoor hot tub outside their hotel
Hmm.
and blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, great. So you went to this place,
Right.
right? Spent all this money, all this time getting there, just so you could fuss over setting up your camera equipment and staging everything to look as beautiful as possible, just so you could pose in front of that camera and show off to people on the internet.
I,
Like how
so
how dissatisfied with your life do you have to be to get to that point where you need people to envy you?
so yeah, I don't care for social media like I used to when it first came out and whatnot. I was young and I'd just be like, this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. But
Yeah.
now I'm just like, I don't care for it. It's whatever. You got numerous people who look at it different ways for social media. You got the people who see it as a journal for their own so that they can look back on, which is fine, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you have your people who might not admit it, but do like kind of showing off or trying to tell people and be like, look, I'm doing so much better in my life. And then you're some people who are just like, I'm just trying to share this with my friends who would enjoy to see this view if they were here, which I get that too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. No, but you can tell the difference between those accounts, yeah?
right.
So the ones who are that thrive off of that envy, they are the ones who have like thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and whatnot. Now, I couldn't imagine having that many followers on social media.
Hmm.
I have maybe 30 something on my social media that follow me,
Right.
and my account is private, and the only reason is th- like I don't care about these it sounds awful saying it, but I don't care about these people that I don't know, right? I don't want other people knowing what I'm into.
Hmm.
I don't want other people like looking at me and envying like the things that I'm up to. It seems pointless to me. I'm trying to be empathetic right now in the fact that sometimes that's all that people have. I mean, I know I poke fun at it, and I don't want to be judgmental because I said earlier as we started this conversation, I said we shouldn't judge other people on their lifestyle choices. Yeah,
Right.
but it creates this imbalance amongst younger generations. I feel the imbalance being where they're pushing other people to. It's like they're welcoming them to a challenge more challenging lifestyle where I'll post what I'm doing. Now let's see how good you can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you can't get on my level, then you're not worth as much. It's all about envy. Everything's about envy, it seems. It's disheartening, really. Like people can't simply enjoy things just to enjoy things.
Hmm.
They need to challenge other people, and they feel that they need to constantly show off because they have nothing else.
Hmm.
Perhaps. I mean, that's maybe I'm being presumptuous, but if you get to that level where you need people to be envious of you, what else could you possibly have if that's the thing that's for you? Like, we all have something that's just for us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you don't have anything for you, then like where do you go from there? I feel like it has to be this push for people to be envious of you.
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
Like I'm trying to analyze it, but it's so difficult to completely understand it. It's something that feels like it's ingrained, and it's very prevalent, but it's something that we haven't, that nobody analyzes. It's just something that we're willing to accept.
So, another thing that I'm analyzing at this juncture is that social media is basically a platform just for envy, and envy alone, and showing off to people, the gloating.
It definitely has that potential. Yeah.
But social media, at its very basic ideology, was to just get people to communicate without having to pick up a phone, like easy means of communication.
Yeah, just sharing like
And
what you're
just
into.
that we made it out to be that way. Like, it's kind of just our own doing as humanity.
Now, is that more like a human condition, or is that just our society bleeding through into the social media?
Maybe a little bit of both. I want to say, like, we have also, in a way, we're being conditioned to keep it up, right? So these companies that are building social media now are trying to be like, what do people typically do on social media? And it's just feeding into the antics.
So we're just dealing with opportunists here.
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
I could see that. Yeah.
I mean, because people see a certain exploit, and they're going to use it, right? People who want to make money, they're going to be like, well, what can we do about this that clearly people want or they like to do? So let's give them this idea.
It's free advertising.
Right.
It's absolutely free advertising. And all these big name companies are benefiting from all of this, but then it seems like you're shitting on the rest of the people,
Mm-hmm.
right? The rest of us, quote unquote, normies. Yeah.
Right.
Like it doesn't do anything good for the rest of us. It's just, you're just supporting these big name companies that want to push for spending money. Like, put your head down, earn a whole bunch of money, and then spend that money on us.
Mm-hmm.
Because you saw this social media post and obviously you envy it. So now spend all your hard-earned money on it, or else you won't be satisfied.
Right.
It's this constant push for satisfaction that cannot be achieved with consumerism. Because buying a whole bunch of stuff, like, I don't see how you could possibly be satisfied with it. I feel like when you see these big name actors and famous folk who say money can't buy you happiness, and then the rest of the people are like, yeah, easy for you to say because you have all of this money and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what actor said it, but he was saying in an interview that he wishes that everyone could achieve, something great and make a lot of money do it, so they can have all the money in the world, just so they can see how little it means to them, like as far as their mental health or their happiness in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just what little it actually does for you, because perhaps it could financially bring peace of mind, but that seems to be the extent of it. I can't see what a lot of money will do for you.
Depending on the individual, it could turn out great. Other individuals, it could turn out bad. Yeah, so
yeah, that's the thing. It's not.
These people are going to spend it all on the wrong things, and then they're going to end up MC hammering it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if you have happiness and you know where your happiness lies, then yes, a lot of money could be a boon. But a lot of money in of itself does nothing for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think that actor was getting at, and I completely get it. I'm completely behind that. So my thoughts are, with all of this consumerism and social media, free advertising, big companies benefiting from our envy, does it ever end, or does this cycle continue indefinitely?
It'll eventually come to a close, but something new will occur. That's the way I look at it. There's going to be something else that'll become popular. We might get to a point where
people get wise to
it, or social media just kind of hits a wayside, and there's like a new form of social media.
Yeah, so just different forms of the same thing, really.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe it's inescapable. I don't know if people get wise to it. I feel more likely that people would just become more numb to it. Yeah. So yeah, social media will continue to evolve. New companies will come in, take over, find a new way of delivering that media.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's inarguably the same thing over and over again, and people are becoming more and more accepting of it, and just continuously becoming envious of other people, especially as religion fades, because that is a big thing in religion, I think, is not being envious of other people and being aware of it. It's more ingrained in people to ignore the fact that it is simply envy, and just have all these new wants, constantly just want, need. But I guess we'll see what the future holds, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.